Hello everyone, Dr. Turner here, and this video is intended to show you how I assess your performance in this class, because I'm going to use different terms that you might not have seen in a class before. So first off, I'm going to introduce you to our course goal, because until you know that, you don't know how you're doing, right? So by the end of this course, you will be able to identify the elements of literacy and design instruction for adolescent learners that fosters literacy along with conceptual mastery in a specific content area. That's the lifeblood, the beating heart of our class. Now, that might not make sense yet, because what you're going to see first are the building blocks of all of the things that are embedded in this goal. So, in order to let you know how near that goal you are as you start to prepare these materials, we are going to question, first off, this A to F system, which is not helpful. So when I give you feedback, sometimes it will be strictly formative, because an A, lots of people get A's and they're really not very inspiring teachers or individuals, but they get good grades. And one of the problems is that grades often reduce your willingness to take creative risks. And being a fantastic teacher often involves taking creative risks. So I want to take the emphasis off the grade, especially at the first part of this class, in order to give you formative feedback that is really more geared to your development as a person and a teacher. So here we go. These are my performance indicators. I'm going to use these words when I talk to you. First is the novice. Now, when I talk about these performance indicators, it does not mean that you're doing poorly if you're one and you're doing magnificently if you're doing another. It's really a way to describe where I feel like you're at. So if you're a novice, it means you're just getting to know a thing. So if I wanted to say, get my pilot's license, I might not know anything. I might walk into a hangar for the first time and look at an airplane, and I don't know about airfoils. I don't know about FAA regulations. I don't know about lift, but I'm curious. So the novice is not like something you should be ashamed of. The novice is somebody that reads resources, takes notes, listens a lot, tries to make sense of new information. Like a novice asks, well, what does this mean? Um, a novice stays open to ideas, looks for information, asks what? Like, what is this? And takes an active role in conversations. Like, it wouldn't do me very much good if I show up and the instructor does all the talking, because while I'm talking and asking questions, I'm processing. So novices are making some smart cognitive choices because they're invested. Now, if you're just like trying to skate by and you're just like, I'm gonna not read the chapter because I don't know, I think I can still do the assignment without doing that, you're not even a novice yet. You're still somebody who has not got their head in a profession. So the novice is a great place to be. And you'll notice that you'll be in different parts of this paradigm at different times. So there's the novice, shows up, looks around, asks questions. Then there's the apprentice level. And the apprentice level is where you actually try a thing out. Now, a lot of times you actually have a mentor during this stage, for instance, student teaching, because really you shouldn't go up in the airplane by yourself the first time. Like somebody should go with you. It's smarter. So the apprentice is where this stuff gets applied. So the apprentice starts to ask, so what? Okay, I learned about weather. I asked what? But now I want to know, so what? How do I know that the thunderstorm is bad enough I shouldn't fly it? Like, so what about that weather? So what about visibility? The apprentice can make short-term plans. Like if I'm a pilot, I can start to go up and maybe fly around in a circle and come back down. I can plan that. I might feel anxious, anxious or awkward, awkward or anxious because it's new. Learning is awkward because it's like trying on a new set of clothes. So the apprentice is willing to make some mistakes, um, and solicit feedback. And of course, this person may work with a mentor. So if you are working at the apprentice level, I will tell you that. I said you're just starting to think about what these ideas look like in practice. That's not telling you that you're doing something wrong. It's telling you that, yes, you're starting to apply information. The journeyman, some of you might be here depending on your background. The journeyman can already make long-term plans, fly by themselves. So this is kind of once I've got my license in pilot speak. The journeyman can make long-term plans. In terms of a classroom situation, this person can make a unit plan. This person can create measurable goals, like how far can I really go on a tank of gas? This person can execute maneuvers, basic maneuvers. They can say, like, I do time, rate, and distance very effectively. I get feedback from my instruments and from air traffic, the people who are experts in that field, right? The journeyman can monitor themselves and others, like, am I fatigued? Does anyone in the plane need like need, needs some comfort and reassurance? Um, so the journeyman can recognize problems, and the journeyman starts developing this sense of competence, right? So you can go somewhere. So the journeyman's fun, because you start to take those shorter term goals, like say a lesson plan, and you start thinking about them in terms of like, well, what do I want to accomplish in a unit? What would those pieces be? And where would we be when we end up? Then, friends, there is another level. And that, my friends, is the master. And the master, some of you are going to have masterful ideas in this class. And the master takes that ability to be competent and make plans to like a different level. And so this person is like not just going to go from point A to point B, they're going to think about how to do it in a way that is very impactful. And so the master in aviation is like, I understand weather, I understand density, altitude, I understand whether or not I should go make that heart shape in the air today, depending on the context, but I know how to do it. And so the master thinks about their values. Well, what do I value about flight? Is it just about going fast? Or is it about creating something new and interesting and learning more? This person asks, what character traits do I want to embody? If we are models for our students, what kind of person do I want to be? This The master takes creative risks. They're often caught trying to try something new. They ask a lot of questions. They watch the YouTube videos in order to add to what they already know. So they might be trying something a little wacky. The master conducts research. The master understands what they know and what they don't know before making that heart shape in the air. They are going to be really smart about, like, what do I need to know so I can execute that safely? The master is extraordinarily adaptable, can make impromptu changes like, hey, I can feel what's happening in this aircraft, in this room. And I know that it's not conducive to learning right now, or maybe to scribbling a heart shape in the air. This person is an excellent interpersonal communicator or relationship builder. The master knows things about their students. They care to ask. They care to get to know their students. Um, they are meticulous planners. You don't just go make a heart shape in the air. That takes a lot of planning. It looks like you just played around that day, but it takes meticulous planning in terms of, okay, where's the wind coming from? Am I going to have to tighten this turn? And the master, and this is what's great, masters still get nervous because they're always thinking about the way they're accomplishing a goal and what they can do that's new or different. And so the reason why I'm introducing these different kinds of levels to you is not so that I can clobber you or saying you like, I don't know, I give you a 4 or a 1, but to really say where I think you are at any given time. And also without like adding a grade always. No, ultimately I've got to give you grades. But without adding a grade, but giving you feedback, I'm hoping that you start to really think about what it means to integrate a reading strategy. And then, and why you might do it, and what it would look like. And then what if it was fun? What if it was thoughtful about who your students are as people? What if it embodied your values as a person? So you might feel unsettled as you move between these. A lot of times you can be a novice and have a masterful idea. So don't feel like it's like, and now I'm in a step program where I'm going to go from one to the other. Very, it's very fluid. And so I am looking forward to using this language as I give you feedback this semester. And I think it might be more helpful to you than going, I don't know, I feel like you got a B on this because you didn't read my mind exactly. So I'm going to try to do that for you. I'm going to try this to make this course as useful as and helpful and creative and innovative as possible. Please let me know if there's something that you think that would improve the class because that's good for me to know. But I'm looking forward to your work this term and hoping that you feel comfortable not just looking at what we're learning, but thinking about how to make that come alive in all new ways.